My name is Tanya Kareem, and this is this week's Acumen Media Report. It's entitled Cage Fight in Billionaires versus South Africa's Fight Club. No contest. A few weeks ago, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg were in the process of agreeing to a cage fight with each other. We dismissed it as rich man's banter with little substance, both in merit and, in substance. Did we honestly think two gazillionaires were going to get into a cage and klap each other for our entertainment? Of course not. We're not fools. They forget to tell us that it was a proverbial fight, not a cage fight per se, more like the title fight for King of Social. And for now, Zuck's won. Some of you may be wondering what on earth I'm talking about. Well, that's why I read the news so you don't have to. Welcome to this week's Acumen Media Scratch the Surface as we tickle the keyboards of our phones. This week, Zuckerberg's Meta released Threads, a rival app to Twitter. It's more than a rival. It gained 20 million new users in the space of 24 hours. Now that's a heavyweight, no contest. Yes, of course I registered, and guess what I found? A happy space. Look, it's only day one and hardly the time to call it, but it launched flawlessly. No bugs, easy to use, and if you're an Instagrammer, I'm not, then it was completely seamless because all your followers and settings were just copied across. Ta-da! Elon had a bad day. He had been having a grumble at data scrapers this week and had put some limitations on that scared half my industry, but Zuck's actually made me happy. Twitter has fallen. Twitter is threadbare, hanging on by a thread. All this play on words is dreamlike for someone like me. That and a brand new toy to play with. I thought I was too old for media first, but here I am, draped in threads. Acumen will join soon. We just want to judge the landscape. That was pretty much my week made until I read the news and social media in South Africa. Fight Club, no contest. The death of Esa Pahad made headlines as one of the good guys left our world. His funeral was gut-wrenching, and the words of gratitude and condolence were limitless. We are poorer as a country for the loss of this giant. It's not the biggest story this week. It should be, but we have too many heinous crimes and events across our country for a good man to dominate our time. The video started trending early in the week. It showed a blue light brigade pulling a car off the road on a highway and a synchronized bunch of thugs barrel out of posh vehicles and assault two men. A flurry of kicks to one man's head and body leaves him unconscious. Social media, the justice seeker that always gets what it wants, caught the clip, and social media got what it wanted. We quickly determined that the mob belonged to our Deputy President Paul Mashatile. They were called his VIP Protection Unit, or as we like to call them, Fight Club thugs. What do you get when you accost two individuals on a highway, kick and punch them to the point of unconsciousness? You get suspended. That's all. Do you get taken to jail? No. You just get suspended, and I'm scared to speculate, but I bet they're on full pay too. Thug life, no contest. Just when I thought that this was the top story, there was a massive gas explosion in Boksburg, which left 16 dead. 3 of them were children. It was a gas called nitrate oxide that apparently was being manufactured in Angelo Informal Settlement. Apparently it's used in mining and is likely linked to the Zamas. Something went wrong, so wrong that it killed a score of people and left many more poisoned. What's going on here, good people? Why are we allowing this trade to continue? Or tirade? Is it so hard to get every disused mine a barricade? Maybe put a couple of those VIP security people at the entrances? It isn't that hard. It's that we don't want to. Like most things, there is a gluttonous endgame here. No contest. Then COSATU held a national shutdown, but why do they even bother? Is it because there's an excess budget for marketing material? If half the money used on printing those posters and branding was put to good use for the children of the members of COSATU, then that would make me respect them. Those beautifully printed placards did not make themselves, guys. We may have thrown in the towel on this cage fight, but we are not fools. The fight is rigged. I was sure I was done with top stories, but then there was another contender in the ring. The Pala Pala report was released by acting PP, and I felt sick watching her as she was being interviewed by the media. She cleared Nkola Ramaphosa of any and all wrongdoing for the dollars in his couch. I mean, that isn't right. Even though I agree that this was a political brawl. Look, even Rama Promise told us he sold animals from his farm, and the acting PP said that that was irrelevant.
A farmer. I'm in the cattle business and the game business. All this was money from proceeds from selling animals.
I flick channels because there's only so much bull dust one can handle, even if that bull happens to be a buffalo. Staged. 2 stories quickly disappeared while we were reading all this mind-altering stuff. Senzo trial has a new judge, and you won't believe this, but he's an ex-soccer player. It also means that the entire case starts from scratch. And isn't that ridiculous? Necessary, but ridiculous. Will we see justice for Senzo in this lifetime? If you cast your mind back to this past weekend, Buthelezi came out to tell us that there was an attempt to kill the Zulu king, that someone poisoned him. Later, headlines read, Buthelezi alleges, and that was that. #next fight. There was a 3rd earthquake in Jozi and we didn't care. That's where we are, good people. We're not entering a fight because we're hanging on by a thread, and earthquakes are just not our thing. Move along now. Try sell your shake, rattle and roll to a country not ducking left hooks from its leaders. Zuma had a big week. He paid Dali a large sum and got nothing but a delay. Oh wait, that's probably what he bought, right? Zuma's private prosecution of Ramaphosa failed. You'd think that this would send Zuma home with a sad sack face, but no. He's representing Belarus at a carbon credits meeting in Zimbabwe. What a joke, eh? He made a speech and everything. And that speech had nothing to do with carbon. Nothing. The only thing that was clear is this man is not and was never sick, and he is actually quite top-end for an 81-year-old. No contest. We have a new ANC youth leader, yawn, petrol price drops, yay, food prices are up, boo. And then we look overseas. Is the grass greener? Is there a break in the caged fight? Let's try France. Well, France has fallen. That trended all week after a foreign national teenager was killed by police. The riots continue unabated as France starts to look like Dipsler last week. The Israelis tore down Jenin. It didn't matter the children were killed. It never matters in Palestine. It matters in Ukraine. It doesn't matter in Libya. It matters in France. Is the fighting easier across the oceans? Of course not. We call it by a different name here. We call it xenophobia, or we call it apartheid. And in the White House, we don't call white powder by its street name. We just call off the fight. Hunter won't be hunted in this no contest fight. I'm still holding on to things like, what's the meta, Elon? And Twitter is holding on to a thread. And Zuck's got new threads. And if he used hashtags on threads, are they called cross-stitches? These stories make me happy. Want to know what else makes me happy? You guessed it. I don't often leave my little slice of paradise, but when I do, it's generally to meet with my fish family. Tomorrow, I leave on a great adventure. I'll be jumping on and off boats into the greatest shoal on earth, the Sardine Run. And that's my way of telling you that I need a 2-week break, and I've got to get away from TV and radio and staged fighting. I want to stare into the eyes of the deep. Imagine the stories I'll bring back for you. Thank you for scratching the surface with me as we are officially halfway into 2023. No contest.